Indiana defeats Old Dominion 27-14 in the opener of week one. It was shaky, but the Hoosiers get it done.
You are Locked On Hoosiers, your daily podcast on the Indiana Hoosiers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, and it is the Locked On Hoosiers podcast. I'm your man, Jacob Goins. I appreciate you being here, making this your first listen or your first watch every single day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. We are live as Indiana football opens up the 2025 season 1-0. They take down Old Dominion 27-14 at Memorial Stadium. And there's a lot to break down on this show today because, look, the Hoosiers are 1-0. Not everybody can say that. We've seen big teams already go down this weekend, and the Hoosiers start the season with a win. It just wasn't as pretty as I think some people were hoping for. We'll talk about the defense that gave up 2 big plays, and that was pretty much it. We'll talk about the offense that moved the ball at will, just couldn't find the end zone when they needed to, and a couple of nice plays all the way around. And so, Indiana wins 27-14, and overall, I'm impressed. I'm happy. I'm satisfied with what the Hoosiers did against Old Dominion. You were down 7-0 after the very first play of the game because you let the Old Dominion quarterback, Joseph, misread, misdirection, shoot up the gut, and go 75 yards to the house. After that, your defense didn't hardly give up anything. Not a bunch of yards, not a bunch of plays, didn't have a touch of penalties, right? It wasn't even a bend, don't break. They really didn't bend all that much until the second time that Joseph did it, where the entire Indiana defense crashed on the inside. He pulls to the outside, and he goes for 78 yards. All right, fine, whatever. 2 plays, 2 touchdowns, bookended in the beginning and in the end. Other than that, I wasn't overly concerned with it, okay? The defense looked fine to me. I think they're going to be good, but the offense was the one that everybody wanted to see. And let's be real. The defense we were never concerned about, or I wasn't anyway, going into the season. It was, is Fernando Mendoza the dude? Can he get it to the playmakers on the outside? Can Indiana run the football? That question was absolutely answered. I think Indiana's running back room is really, really good. I think Kalen Black looked fantastic. I think Roman Hemby looked fantastic. And outside of the fumble from BB Jr., the UAB transfer, I think he looked really, really solid too. All 3 guys ran the ball really hard, really fast, and really physical. And that's going to help Indiana when you get into Big Ten play. I do want to kind of remind everybody here that this is week 1. This was the first game of the season. There were going to be some, there were going to be some mistakes, right? There were going to be some things that weren't great. And offensively, you could say that, right? You moved the football up and down the field, but you stalled inside the red zone several times. And you can't have that. Against Old Dominion, fine, but when you start playing Illinois or you start playing Oregon or Penn State or whoever, you've got to cash in when you get down there. And so overall, again, I think the performance was fine. It was fine. I know a lot of people are upset with the offense, but I think the offensive line looked solid. When Mendoza did drop back to pass, I think he had plenty of time. His deliverance wasn't the best. Had a couple of good throws that were not caught. Do have to say that too. But I think the offensive line did their job. You ran the football in this game a ton. You had over 500 yards of total offense in this game if you're Indiana. You can't really complain about that if you ask me. 500 total yards, 300 of those, 309 to be exact, were on the ground. You ran it 57 times for 309 yards, averaging almost 5 yards a carry. That's going to win you some football games in the Big Ten. You also had a couple of rushing scores in there, right? You had 193, nearly 200 passing yards in this game, which, looked fine, right? Surratt not having any targets in the first half, kind of scary for me, but then he started to get involved a little bit, and you found him down the stretch. Omar Cooper dropped a touchdown pass, but he got involved throughout this game as well, had a couple of more opportunities, but you got the win. And that's kind of what I want to lean on in week one, is that you got the win. You were driving down to the end of the game, probably could have scored if you really wanted to, but overall, you got the win. And we're going to talk so much more over the next several weeks about what needs to get better, what we want to get better. And you've got two more opportunities to do it, right? Kennesaw State and Indiana State. That Old Dominion team's not bad. That's not a bad team out of the Sun Belt. There's a reason Kurt Cignetti gave you his thoughts and told you that he was kind of worried about this game, because Old Dominion's beat people before. That conference has beat people before, and you can kind of see why. Outside of two big plays, though, your defense was locked down, rock solid. Aiden Fisher looked awesome. Hardy looked awesome next to him, right? D'Angelo Pons ends up getting involved and gets a tip drill pick down the stretch in this football game. I just think you did what you needed to do to win, but you have so much to work on, especially on the offensive side of the football. And you overcame a bad start. You overcame the worst possible start, down 7-0 after the first play, and you bounced back immediately, take the ball down the field several times. I know you didn't cash in, and the points on the scoreboard don't reflect how Indiana played in this game, I don't think, but you still walk away with the win, which is what I saw a lot of people talking about on social media. And heck, I even see a lot of you guys talking about it in the comments right now. And again, we appreciate you being with us here on Locked On Hoosiers. It wasn't pretty, but you did what you needed to do. I can't get over the running back room, though. I really can't. I think Kalen Black and Roman Hemby have a chance to be one of the best running back duos in the Big Ten this year. And we felt confident on this show anyway. We felt confident in them going into the season, but man, it was nice to see this. With Kalen Black, the returner, you've got Hemby as the transfer from Maryland, and BB Jr. is a good third option too. I hate that he fumbled on the first play, the first carry that he had at Indiana, but you have some dudes in that room. And I thought the offensive line held their own, created some big-time holes. Mendoza was a little sped up to me, made a couple of decisions that I didn't love, a couple of throws that should have been better, but he had a couple of throws that should have been caught too. That's going to be fine. But I don't want people to start comparing Mendoza to what Curtis Rourke was. Their stats were nearly similar, identical in their first career start at IU. From last year with Curtis Rourke to this year for Fernando Mendoza. Go look at the stats. They're nearly identical. They're nearly the same. Mendoza's going to be fine, but you've got to find Omar Cooper and Elijah Surratt and get them the football more often. I did like to see Holden Stays and Noah Kowski getting involved a little bit. EJ Williams may have been the most impressive player on the offense today, and he is no doubt about it your go-to third option at the receiver spot. He had 5 catches in the first half. 5 catches in the first half alone. He played an outstanding game for this Indiana squad. You start looking up and down. Again, EJ Williams had 45 yards on several catches, had 8 targets in the game, and someone that I think you can probably lean on and rely on. So offense wasn't pretty. Defense got it done. Special teams was awesome. And I think overall you're feeling okay. Not great, but feeling okay. And we continue to talk about this as Indiana defeats Old Dominion 27-14 in the season opener, overcoming the bad start, moving the ball up and down the field, and eventually you walk away from this game 1-0. We talk about that and more coming up next here on this live show of Locked On Hoosiers. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers, this live stream, is brought to you by Game Time. College football, it's back, and I couldn't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands. There's just nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets to some games right now can feel like more of a battle than the game itself. The endless queues, the hidden fees, the prices always jumping at checkout. That's why I use Game Time. It's the app that gives me the advantage, and it gives it back to you, the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees at checkout. What you see is what you pay. Hopefully, some of you used Game Time when you went to the game today there in Bloomington. Hopefully, you use it next week if you want to go to the game in Bloomington as well. You can take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets right now with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Today's Locked On Hoosiers is also brought to you by Upside. Hey, Locked On Hoosiers fans, are you still paying full price for gas? Stop leaving money on the table. Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited time promo code FOOTBALL to get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You can make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas that you already needed. At first, I thought it was too good to be true because most things are, right? But it's totally legit. You can, you're getting real deals, real savings right now, and you're getting paid to make your daily commute, and you can too. Plus, you can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now while using my limited time promo code FOOTBALL for a limited time 25 cent per gallon bonus. That's promo code FOOTBALL. Offers may vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. All right, welcome back to Locked On Hoosiers, a live show after Indiana defeats Old Dominion 27-14 in the season opener. I see a bunch of you in the YouTube comments, so drop your thoughts there. How do you feel? Are you good? Are you not? Are you scared? Are you proud? How are you feeling about Indiana being 1-0 after beating Old Dominion 27-14? Give me some likes and some dislikes. I kind of ran through some of mine. Want to go through some of yours as well. Wasn't pretty, but it's a win. Yep, I agree. I agree with that. It was not pretty. And I see someone right here, talking about the effort won't get us to the playoffs, and I don't necessarily know if it was an effort problem. I just think the week one, not even jitters, but just the vibes of week one kind of it felt that way, right? It just felt like, all right, let's get back out here. Let's get back in the routine. Let's get through the motions. Let's take on a good team. And then boom, you're punched in the mouth immediately. Again, Hoosiers responded, but you just had to knock some of those things off. And you had a lot of new players, right? Especially on the offensive side of the football. 3 new starting offensive linemen, a new running back rotation, a couple of new receivers, and most importantly, a new quarterback. You had to kind of get all of that together. And the good thing is you could run the ball because that'll go with you anywhere. That'll go with you the next couple of weeks. It'll go with you against Illinois. It'll go with you out to Eugene and to Happy Valley, right? Running the football will be the key to everything for this Indiana team to then open it up for what the passing game is, which we, at least coming into the season, believed to be the strength of the offense, leaning on the defense as well. Talk about a dislike for me, at least early, defensive line pressure. Defensive line pressure wasn't what I wanted it to be. And you could tell that they, at least Indiana, that is, respected the running game of Joseph, the quarterback for Old Dominion. And you now see why he burned you twice. But it just seemed like they weren't able to get a whole lot of push in the first quarter, maybe even the first quarter and a half. That's kind of where I started to have some concerns. I wrote it in my notes in here as well. The fact that you have to settle for a field goal when you get down inside the 5 several times. Fernando Mendoza finally gets a rushing score in there as well. The offense stalling out, but the defense keeping you alive. A couple of interceptions today as well for the defense. D'Angelo Pons, Amari Farrell, good to see him, and somebody we figured would be on the opposite side in that defensive backfield, and he was. But defensive line pressure is going to have to get a little bit more consistent for me for this Indiana team. This person says, wasn't pretty, but not worth overreacting. Definitely need to see improvements in the red zone offense, but I didn't see anything that makes me think the ceiling is lower than we thought. And I'm kind of on the same page as Alex here. Not time to panic yet. It's just week 1. But the conversations we're going to have this week is, okay, you got to get better. And do we trust Kurt Cignetti here? I do. I trust Kurt Cignetti to make the adjustments, to make the improvements. I trust the offensive coordinator, Mike Shanahan, to make the adjustments to Fernando Mendoza, to the running game, to your best players, which are your receivers. I think it's going to happen. I really, really do. But that's a solid Old Dominion team. And again, I don't want to make this sound like it's an excuse that Indiana only won 27-14. No, you didn't cover the spread. And again, your offense stalled out so many times, but there's just a lot to work on here. And you didn't lose, right? You didn't lose. And you came in, you got it done, and now you can move on. A lot of people in here saying that there's lots to work on. I know there are tons of people who may not have been overly impressed with Fernando Mendoza. He's going to get there. He's going to get there. And again, he had a touchdown pass to the second best receiver on the team, and Omar Cooper, and Cooper just couldn't come up with it. Not blaming him, but it's just a fact. He threw a perfect ball and couldn't quite get it to him. But some of the decisions from Mendoza have to get a little bit better. Just in my opinion, just kind of what I was seeing in there. Someone says they feel indifferent about this game, and that is fine. How about this one right here? It says Old Dominion was far more ready than IU. I don't know if I agree with that. I think Old Dominion had a good game plan. I don't think they were able to execute it the way that they wanted to, especially on offense for the Monarchs, because again, they had two plays, two good plays that it was the same idea and it burned you the exact same way both times, but that's it. And then defensively, they were having a pretty good push, and they had some athletes on the defensive side of the football, and their DBs had some really good one-on-one downfield coverage and made some individual plays. And you just got to put your hands up, tip your cap, and move on from those. I think it was more Indiana not executing the game plan versus what Old Dominion's preparation was. I don't think Indiana was underprepared or not ready for this game. I just think you just didn't play your best football today. And Old Dominion played pretty darn good, at least in the trenches and individual one-on-ones on the outside. Says, yeah, I agree with this. Says, would hate to be in the locker room after that performance because Sig is going to let them have it. I have not heard Coach Cignetti talk in his post-game presser yet. We went live as soon as the game was over. I am curious on what Kurt Cignetti says today. I'm curious on what Kurt Cignetti says early next week. But yeah, to be a fly on the wall in the locker room after this, I'm sure it wasn't the best. I'm sure it wasn't just getting after it because you need to celebrate wins. I think that's important, especially for this football program with the history we have here. But this week will be very, very interesting on what they focus on, what the message is, kind of who they see and hear and feel is going to step up with everything. And so, yeah, I think Cignetti will have some things to say moving forward. But as we've talked about, I wasn't a fan of it, but I think after this performance, I am a little bit that you have 2 more games to figure all of this out, right? You still have Kennesaw State and Indiana State to get everything figured out. But you know what I've talked about. My everydayers know this. While I'm not a fan of playing these 3 games back to back to back, you have a chance to be playing really good. And I think you need to be playing near perfect football. You're going to have 3 games like that in a row. Figure it out. Get it all worked out and welcome Illinois in here in just a few weeks. That's down the road. I'm saying you still have time to get it all worked on. So other cool things, you had the Bison there, flew in had a motorcycle too, like cool things there. A good day of college football where some big name teams are falling around the country. Big Ten has looked pretty solid other than Northwestern. I don't know what the heck happened there, but Indiana wins 27-14. Any other comments in here? Yeah, this right here. This from Andy. This is absolutely spot on. And we've talked a lot about this coming into the year. After last year, says Indiana's going to have a target on their backs. Lower ranked teams will play harder against the Hoosiers. It's exactly right. It's exactly right. You're going to get your best from Kennesaw State. You're going to get it from Indiana State. And every Big Ten team you play is ready to beat you, especially the ones that you beat last year. And so overall, 27-14. The things I liked, the running game, the linebacker play, secondary was okay, made some individual plays, had a couple of interceptions in there, and a couple of the throws for Fernando Mendoza. The dislikes, the offense stalling inside the red zone. It's even worse, stalling inside the 10 and sometimes inside the 5. Watching the defensive line not get a ton of pressure until later in the second half, and then giving up 2 big runs to a mobile quarterback. And let me go ahead and put this out there for the world. This is not the only mobile quarterback that Indiana's going to play this season. You better get ready. You have plenty more on this schedule that you have to see. And I promise you that every single one of them will pull up the film of what Old Dominion did. They'll watch Indiana's linebackers and DBs crash and the defensive ends all crash to the inside and watch the running back or watch the quarterback go wild on the outside. They're going to do it. They're going to watch it, and they're going to make Indiana stop it. I trust them to make the adjustments, but those things have to be ready, and they have to be fixed. And so it was not a perfect performance, but Indiana's 1-0. You beat Old Dominion 27-14, and now you move on to Kennesaw State. And so we will continue to talk about Indiana football as the week gets started. We will have shows for you all day, all week next week, Monday through Friday, continuing to recap this game. We'll start to preview Kennesaw State. We'll also talk about some basketball. Big visit this weekend, more visits coming up this next weekend as well. So we'll have those for you. Again, Locked On Hoosiers. It's a daily podcast for you, Monday through Friday, every single day, wherever you get your podcast, or right here on YouTube as well. But Indiana starts 1-0 with a 27-14 win over Old Dominion. We're back for a regular episode on Monday. Hoosier fans, thank you so much for being here, joining us on the live stream. We plan to do this as much as we can after Indiana football games. All right, so make sure that you like the video, continue to drop your thoughts down below, share this with anybody if they have not seen it already. Okay, we're back on Monday for a normal episode, Hoosier fans. So until then, stay safe, and I'll talk to you later.